Hello and welcome back to another edition of Viper Bites Primetime Previews. And this time we are turning our attention to the NFC Championship contest between the San Francisco 49ers as they head back to LA to face the Los Angeles Rams, 6:30 p.m. Eastern on Sunday. Now, before we dive into the tail of the tape here, just take a second, hit that subscribe button if you're watching on the Vipers Network. If you're watching on BetSports, head over there anyway, click that link, and make sure to give us a good old-fashioned thumbs up on the video. Now, let's get into this backstory because we've got two division rivals, two scorned lovers, if you will, between the 49ers and the Rams here. Now, all we're going to hear the rest of this week is, can the Rams win and end that losing streak to the 49ers after 3 seasons? Yes, 3 seasons of futility here, 6 straight losses to their division rivals. Man, that is not good. And I don't care what fan base you are part of here. Losing 6 straight to anyone is not good. So you're saying, hey, Matt, they are due. I mean, how hard is it to beat a team 3 times in a single season? It's actually not that difficult. Going back to the merger, this has been the occurrence here on 20 different occasions. And 13 times, that's roughly 65%, the team that's won the first 2 went on to win the 3rd match. Probably not what you want to hear, Rams fans, but don't worry. I got some facts to kind of back things up here for you as well. Now, listen, we're going to talk about these last 2 contests between the 49ers and the Rams, at least the games in 2021, because I really don't care what happened in 2020 and what happened in 2019, because those are very different teams. In fact, the team that the 49ers faced on the back 9 of the season was not the same Rams team they had for the first 8 games, which kind of mirrors what the Rams are doing in the playoffs. If you're following along still, Matt Stafford, good, then bad, and now he's been good again. In those 2 losses to the 49ers, it was bad at Matt Stafford, okay? Listen, when the 49ers first defeated the Rams, it was with ease, 31-10. Stafford, not good, 26 of 41, 243 yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions. The run game was non-existent because they were trailing the whole time. Darrell Henderson, 31 yards on 5 carries. Sony Michel, not much better. I'm telling you what, I think it was 20 yards on 5 carries. Cooper Kupp did Cooper Kupp type things. Okay, 11 catches, 122 yards, but the rest of the Rams pass catchers, non-existent outside of Tyler Higbee, who scored a touchdown on 1 of his 3 receptions that day. That was the only touchdown, by the way, that Matt Stafford threw. Now, in that first meeting, Matt Stafford, he was sacked twice. Now, for the 49ers, Jimmy Garoppolo, he was efficient. Let's use the word efficient when describing Jimmy Garoppolo. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, 15 of 19 passing, 182 yards. Both Kittle and Deebo Samuel, they were the recipients of those touchdown grabs. And Kittle, he did finish with 5 catches for 50 yards. Meanwhile, Samuel, he was doing Cooper Kupp type things, or should I say Deebo Samuel type things, averaging 19.4 yards per reception on 5 receptions on his way to 97 yards that day. He also added 5 more carries and a rushing touchdown. Now, speaking of rushing touchdowns, now Elijah Mitchell, he did not score, but he carried the rock 27 times for 97 yards. Ding, ding, ding. In round number 2, again, advantage 49ers here. This time in overtime, knocking off the Rams 27-24 in a game in which the Rams looked like they were comfortably in control of, at least for the first half, until Deebo Samuel absolutely took over and helped punch the 49ers tickets to this postseason. Again, Stafford struggled in this contest. 2 interceptions, 21 of 38 passing, 238 yards. He did throw for 3 touchdowns that day, connecting once again with Tyler Higbee and good old Cooper Kupp. Now, Kupp, he finished with a measly 118 yards, 7 more receptions, added 18 on the ground. Very Deebo-esque type numbers in that sense. Now, Higbee, his 2 touchdowns, they came on 6 receptions for 55 yards. We could talk about Van Jefferson and Odell Beckham Jr., but they were basically non-existent in this contest, combining for 4 catches and 49 yards. Again, the ground game was a no-go. Sony Michel led the Rams with 43 yards on 21 carries. But the biggest news in this contest was the return of Cam Akers coming back off that Achilles. Yeah, he did nothing for yardage and this and that, but it was great to see him back out there for the first time in 5-6 months, whatever that time frame happened to be. For the 49ers, I mentioned Deebo Samuel took this game over, running for a touchdown. on 8 carries and 45 yards. He threw for a touchdown. He also added what he does best, a bunch of catches. I think 4 catches, 95 yards. Now, Garoppolo wasn't good as far as turning over the ball. It was kind of like playoff Garoppolo from what we've seen. Now, he did throw 2 interceptions, but he did throw for some yardage, 316 yards, leading this comeback because the 49ers, they were down in this contest and things were not looking good. Elijah Mitchell, 85 yards, 21 carries. Brandon Ayuk led this passing attack for the 49ers, 6 grabs, 107 yards. So, hey, who caught the 2 touchdown passes? Who caught the pass from Garoppolo? Juwan Jennings. Who caught the pass from Deebo Samuel? Juwan Jennings. Yeah, I know. It still doesn't seem right. So how did we get to where we are? The Rams punched their ticket to the NFC Championship with a 34-11 wild card victory over the Arizona Cardinals, absolutely taking it to Kyler Murray in that game. Then they went on to defeat Tom Brady and the Buccaneers. Something that Tom Brady doesn't do is lose in the divisional round. Put that in the Rams column right there, a little notch on their belt, as you will. Now, when we look at the 49ers, this could be a team of destiny. Yes, we could talk about Matthew Stafford and the LA Rams potentially hosting the Super Bowl in their own stadium, much like Tampa Bay did last year. But look, when you get the Dallas Cowboys and the San Francisco 49ers together, the last 3 times that these teams met, the winner went on to win the Super Bowl. So there's that. Or we can look at the win over the Packers, in which they did not even score an offensive touchdown, but they still beat the Packers 13-10 despite all of that. Now, with 2 playoff games under their belt, Matthew Stafford is thrown for 568 yards, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions, 74.5 completion percentage. That's good, Matthew Stafford, right? He's looking like the first half of the season, Stafford, the first 8 games. Now, Garoppolo, on the other hand, he hasn't been bad, but he hasn't been good either. Look, 61.4 completion percentage, 303 yards, 2 interceptions. Probably should have been a lot more in that Packers game. Elijah Mitchell for the 49ers has been running the ball as well as anyone, I guess, technically, if you want to look at straight yardage here in those 2 games, 149 yards total. Cam Akers, he has taken the lead back responsibility for the Los Angeles Rams in the playoffs, carrying the ball 41 times, 103 yards, adding 60 more yards in the passing game on 4 receptions. While Mitchell leads the playoffs in rushing, it's teammate Deebo Samuel who sits 3rd with 111 rushing yards. That's 5.6 yards per carry, which is a lot better than what Mitchell's been doing. Plus, he's also added 82 yards receiving, along with his pass-catching mates there. George Kittle, 81 yards. Brandon Ayuk, he's been okay, 66 yards. I think that's more of a incompetency type thing on Jimmy Garoppolo than it is an indication of what these 49ers are capable of doing in the passing game. For the Rams, it's Cooper Kupp every day and twice on Sundays, leading the league into the playoffs, much like he did in the regular season, 244 yards receiving. Those yards have come on the strength of 14 receptions, 2 of which resulted in scores. Meanwhile, Odell Beckham Jr. is second on the team for the Rams in receiving yards with 123 through 2 games. So let's take a look at the 49ers a little bit deeper here. Garoppolo went head-to-head with Aaron Rodgers and lived to tell the tale as he moves on. Rodgers, 11-10 now career playoffs. Jimmy Garoppolo, 4-1. Yeah, that's right. Jimmy Garoppolo is 4-1, winning 80% of his playoff games. Just like we all kind of figured, right? But it's not like Garoppolo is responsible for those victories. Now, in the regular season, his yards per completion was 12.7. In the snow, in Lambeau, he managed just 6.9 yards per attempt on his way to 131 passing yards. Further to all that, despite winning, he hasn't had a passer rating over 90 since way back in week number 15. And in that period of time, 2 touchdowns to 6 interceptions. The last time the Rams allowed a 100-plus rating was all the way back in week 10. Heck, even the GOAT himself, Tom Brady, couldn't muster more than 73 rating on 6.1 yards per attempt in that divisional matchup. Running, Elijah Mitchell. Sure, he's leading the playoffs in rushing right now, but it's all due to the volume. Even his 149 yards rushing, that works out to about a 3.6 yards per carry. That's not going to get it done against the Rams. Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Juwan Jennings. The Deebo factor is real. He can catch, he can throw, he can run a touchdown. It doesn't matter. Deebo can do it all and get everyone involved. Now, in the passing game, 1,405 receiving yards. That's impressive, but it's his yak. He's second in the league in yak behind only Cooper Kupp. Of those 1,405 receiving yards, 779 came after contact. Meanwhile, in the ground game, 6.2 yards per carry. He also scored 8 touchdowns, which happens to be 2 more touchdowns than he had receiving. Now, it is worth noting and worth keeping an eye on. He did take a pretty good shot on the leg there in that game in Lambeau. Might be something, probably nothing. Now, Kittle, he had a little bit of a disappearing act there late in the season. He came back to life here in that divisional contest. 4 receptions, 63 yards, including a very impressive one-hand grab along the sideline. Now, for the Rams. Versus Tampa Bay, Matthew Stafford killed it against the blitz, much like he did all season long. Against the blitz, Matthew Stafford had a 139.6 passer rating, okay? Now, the key to getting to Matthew Stafford is pressure, not necessarily the blitz, but the pressure. When he is getting pressured, that rating goes down to 65. Now, obviously, the Buccaneers were not able to get to him as much as they would like to because Stafford ended up with 366 yards, 2 touchdowns, 9.6 yards per attempt, and a 121.2 rating. That's good, Matthew Stafford. If Stafford is dealing, the Rams are winning, and it's that simple. When he posts a rating over 100, the Rams this season are 11-0. Now, that might be easier said than done because San Francisco, on the flip side, the last 3 games, they've held all the quarterbacks they faced to less than 235 yards and under 100 rating. And those quarterbacks include Matthew Stafford, Dak Prescott, and Aaron Rodgers. Now, why are they able to do what they do? Look no further than that pass rush. They're getting pressure with 4-man rushes here. Stopping Bosa, the Rams need to figure a way to do that. 2 sacks in the divisional contest. Eric Armstead, 6 sacks in the last 4 games. It don't matter if you're getting pressure. You don't need to do it through the blitz, and that's the way the 49ers have been getting the job done. The Rams need to keep Stafford clean. Now, Cam Akers has been held under 4 yards per carry in these 2 games, but yet he has not rounded into what I believe to be his final form in the playoffs. No, that's not a Pokemon reference, but I think you can look at what the Packers do with Aaron Jones and Sean McVay. He's going to look at that because I think that is something they could take advantage of. Jones last week, he broke him off a little something there. 9 catches, 129 yards, 14.3 yards per catch. We've seen Akers break off big catches, big plays in the passing game. As long as he doesn't turn the ball over like he did against Tampa Bay, Akers could have a huge game this week. We know Cooper Kupp is going to do his thing. You can pretty much chalk him up for about 118 yards and 10 catches again this week. Regardless of who's covering him, it doesn't matter. Now, Cooper Kupp, Odell Beckham Jr., Tyler Higbee, Van Jefferson, all good options. But Cooper Kupp, 90 or more receiving yards in 17 of 19 contests this year. Are you kidding me? Well, how did the 49ers do against Devontae Adams? Well, Adams in the snow still had 9 catches and 90 yards. But I have a feeling it's not going to be snowing in Tinseltown. So how do you see this playing out? Well, you know what? I've got the Rams winning this one 33-23 because there's no way they are going to let the 49ers use their locker room for the Super Bowl. Matthew Stafford and the Rams, they're going to have their Steve Young moment. If you remember the 49ers, San Diego Chargers Super Bowl game, that old get off my back, get this monkey off my back moment, that is what the Rams are hoping to experience, and I think they're going to do that. But it's going to come down to Stafford protecting the ball and the Rams protecting Matthew Stafford against a 4-man rush. If the 49ers have to get pressure by blitzing, I think the Rams are going to have a good chance of winning this game. And you know what? Stafford has to get Odell Beckham Jr. involved. In the 2 losses to the 49ers, Beckham was held to 20 or fewer receiving yards. So I'm calling Stafford to Odell. Big game this week. Now, week 18, I talk about that pressure. Matthew Stafford got hit a lot, and he was sacked 5 times. Meanwhile, it's going to come down to the Rams pressuring Jimmy Garoppolo and forcing him to turn that ball over. Last time the Packers played the 49ers there, 4 times they got to him. They hit him 7 times. And Trent Williams, he did get banged up. And a banged up Trent Williams, anyone banged up on this line is going to have their hands full with the likes of Von Miller, Leonard Floyd, and Aaron Donald. Aaron Donald made himself very aware to Tom Brady throughout the contest with 1 sack, 3 hits, and 7 pressures against the Buccaneers. That is going to be the key. Who do you got winning this game? You got the Rams? Do you got the 49ers? Who's booking their ticket to Southern California for the Super Bowl? Let me know. Get in those comments right there. And hey, as always, head over to fantasypoints.com. Get that subscription today. That's 30% off up until the Super Bowl. Do it right now, and we'll see you next time. Take care.